Want to know how to work through a creative brief? Join our shifters as they tackle a real-world challenge set by Adidas.
We teamed up with the lovely people at D&AD and we challenged the shifters to a brief that I think is kind of out of tune with what we would usually do, in that we wanted to see how we could kind of build more connections with our retail kind of teams and activations and communities in store, as well as our services and our social media presence and things that we do online.
It was a lot about kind of collaboration, and it was a lot about working with young people and how to engage them in essentially what Shift was doing as well, getting them to be involved in creative culture.
When a brand sets a creative brief, they often present a goal, something they'd like to achieve, or a problem, something they'd like to overcome. The challenge for creatives in answering the brief is to develop creative ideas that help the brand to achieve that goal. Let's see how our shifters stepped up to the challenge when Adidas set them a real creative brief. Adidas asked the shifters in London to explore new ways to connect to Adidas's digital and social media presence to its resale stores, positioning local communities at the centre. Before you jump into the creative part, you're going to have to break down the brief, understand what it is asking you, and plan any research you might need to do.
All time when I'm given like a brief or something, I would like try to understand the client, where it's coming from. It's like problem solving, so identifying the problem and then finding creative ways to solve it. Breaking it down to like a one-liner, like simplifying the brief that you're given, do your research to gain that insight, and then from there you'll come up with an idea.
The first line of action when breaking down the brief is to do a lot of research. So my team and I, we just divided the roles amongst ourselves. So some of us would be looking into the brand's competitors, looking into their services and what they're about. And that's kind of it, kind of asking like a lot of questions around the brief.
To develop your idea, you might try out different approaches. You should test that idea against your research and different perspectives and experiences.
When you're doing a brief, you're going to go off the brief all the time. So you need this creative tagline that goes back to it all the time. So you have this one thread running through your whole idea, because that's what separates the amateur idea from the professional idea.
Being able to boil, your pitch or your presentation down into a sentence just makes it easier for you and the person, you're communicating it to, and just helps it land.
Once you've got an idea, you need to bring it to life in production, keeping in mind the finished product you want to achieve and the people, technology and craft you want to work with to get there, making sure all these decisions align with your original brief.
Our idea that we shared in the end was like one of the first ideas we came up with. We were going to use one of the Adidas spaces as like a hub for people to come and work on Adidas briefs or meet other people and network. We thought that idea was really great because we all would use it.
The emphasis on terms of what the physical experience would be like, talking on different senses, sound and like kind of smell, and like, as well as the visual, was really interesting because it's not necessarily something that I personally have seen that much of before.
The dynamic between the group and the way your personalities came across and the way you present was really outstanding. The things I loved about it were that it started with an insight, and the insight really clearly framed all of your thinking right through to execution.
And I also loved the idea of bringing in the QR codes in the store and then how you'd then extend that out into social, because that was really interesting of having then longer storytelling.
D&AD Shift is a free night school for self-made creatives without a university degree, in partnership with Google and Adidas. D&AD is run globally in major cities around the world.